Welcome back to Variologies. I'm Dan Calcagno. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how freedom is the key to prosperity. In most first world countries, we often hear about the importance of freedom. But what is freedom? Well, freedom refers to a situation in which individuals are allowed to make their own choices. Choices about what to buy, where to work, how to live, what to believe, and so on. Furthermore, freedom refers to living in a society in which there are rules and laws protecting each person and their property. And so, since people are free to do what they want with their own property, they will inevitably engage in voluntary transactions with others, or in other words, there will be a market economy. When individuals are free, they act based upon their own personal preferences and their own economic interests. And this means engaging in transactions which will be mutually beneficial. A person tends to engage in a transaction with another person because they will get something out of it. Likewise, the other person in that transaction is also intending to get something out of it. And so this is what I mean by mutually beneficial, that each person in each transaction is seeking to gain something from the transaction. This then results in all kinds of market forces coming into play, not the least of which are the forces of supply and demand. What are supply and demand? Well, firstly, demand refers to how much a product or a service is desired by consumers, whereas supply refers to the ways in which individuals and businesses satisfy those desires. And as a result of the interactions between supply and demand comes prices. A price is simply a signal to either the one doing the supplying or the one doing the demanding. If a product or a service is in high demand, prices will typically rise. And this is a signal to producers to increase supply or maybe even innovate alternatives. Conversely, if there is less demand for an item, prices will tend to fall, signaling producers to reduce supply or divert resources somewhere else. So this dynamic of supply and demand and prices acting as signals both to consumers and to producers results in the scarce resources of the world to be used in a more rational way, to be used where they are most valued by people, aligning more closely to the actual desires and needs of the people. It's true democracy in that sense. And what this actually leads to is having more products and services that we actually want, with prices actually usually getting lower and lower as time goes on. Think about the area of technology. In this famous picture found online, we see a man in the 1980s surrounded by all kinds of electronic gadgets from the time. A VHS camcorder, a VCR, a stereo system, a Walkman, an electronic typewriter, all kinds of gadgets. But thanks to the fact that the technology industry enjoys a great deal of freedom, that is to say there is minimal government regulation in the technology industry, at least compared to other areas of life, tech companies are free to innovate and be creative in order to meet the demands of customers. And in fact, there's all kinds of competition between tech companies. What this means is that as a result, all of these products, which back in the 1980s would have cost thousands of dollars altogether, can now be enjoyed in a single device, a smartphone, which usually only costs a few $100s. So think about that. Because companies have been free to make products and consumers have been free to choose which products to support and to buy, this has led to all kinds of innovation, better products and services at lower prices. In other words, at least in terms of tech gadgets, prosperity has resulted as a result of the freedom enjoyed by both producers and consumers. Now, no country on earth has a perfect or a completely free market economy, but the more free a country is, the more prosperous they seem to be. Freedom inevitably results in a market economy. A market economy has market forces like supply and demand, prices which give signals to customers and to producers. Scarce resources are more rationally allocated in society, and this eventually leads to better products, better services, for lower prices. And this is in contrast to those countries in the world which are less free, and therefore these forces are prevented from working, and they are much worse off as a result. When Individuals and countries are free to innovate, free to invest, free to interact, for market forces like supply and demand and for prices to work their magic, to do what they are supposed to do. This results in more and more prosperity for the people. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this video was interesting to you. If you'd like me to make more videos about economics and about politics, please let me know what you thought of the video in the comments below, or follow me on X at Dan Calcagno. We can talk there. You can support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Variologies. Like this video, share it with others, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the bell notification icon so that you can be notified when I upload a new video each day, and visit my website, variologies.com. Thanks for watching.